Okay, go ahead. We're all here, but I have it recording now. Sorry.
Would you like me to start again or just continue?
I think it's fine if you continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the syntax to store information to local storage is pretty simple. We just need to write local storage set item and indicate key and value. In order to get item, we just need to indicate key. To remove item from the storage, also we need to indicate the key. And this last method, clear, it will clear all your local storage for the. So it's you need to be very careful with this comment.
Yeah. Okay.
Now let's check some examples. So here is I just would like to store my last name, and the key for this information is last name. And I would like to get that last name and paste it into the element with ID result. Here, how it looks like. Just a moment. You can see it here. Here is my HTML. I had just paragraph with ID result, and this information is in this paragraph. Here is just my function, just the same. I just get value of the first name, the last email, and store that information. Let's check how it looks like. For example, first name will be John, and email john@gmail.com. Save and inspect storage, local storage. I know it worked. I don't know why it doesn't work now.
All right.
Let's do it again. Okay.
Are you getting any errors in your console?
Nope, no errors.
Okay, I'm not sure then.
Let's check my code. Save data.
Try to clear your local storage because it may not be working because you already have it set.
How to clear it?
You should just be able to right-click on them and clear it. Okay, good deal. Okay, so yeah, right-click on one of the values, or you should, I don't know in Firefox, I know in Chrome, but you should be able to right-click and say delete all or something like that.
How to do it in Chrome?
Same way. So go ahead and go to application right there. And then local storage, then file. Okay. And then over here, you should just be able to right click and delete it.
Clear.
There you go, that'll work. Perfect. Now let's give it a shot.
Arena. Save.
You may need to refresh. There was a little refresh button there. I'm not sure if that'll help.
Yeah, you might want to do that.
Let's do it again. Okay, I'm sorry. I will work on that. It worked before. Probably I had deleted something.
Good deal.
Maybe it's because you're pushing Irina, Michael, and all of that, and it's already saved to the local storage. Maybe that's it. There's like an array, and you're pushing values.
That was her second part. The only thing that she would have had to change, I think, is name and email. So as long as those have been deleted, that should be fine. But I thought that they would overwrite them if you change them from when I used them.
I think I know what's wrong. On line 7, the value is first name, and on line 9, you're just putting in name.
Actually, it's the key for stored data.
Yeah,
and
that's
this
fine.
is
Okay, that's
ID from the HTML here.
Okay, so you don't have to put
Okay,
the ID within the key?
Yeah, here in HTML, I have first name and email. And here I grab value from first name and email, store that in the variables name and
I see
email.
now.
And then here is those values.
Okay, so you can specify the key part of that parameter as anything you want?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let's continue, and I will figure that out later. I don't want to spend time for this.
No worries.
Sounds good.
Okay, so the next part is arrays. Actually, here is my array. I store there those 3 values, and in order to put that array to the local storage, we need to use JSON signify method, because otherwise it will store just as a string, not as an array. So, and to retrieve that data, we need to use JSON parse. And here is my example. That's just I store this as an array, and I retrieved it and store in retrieved data variable. And after that, I create a new variable where I store retrieved array. And this is just to check that this is still an array, and it will give us the length of that array. If we go here, we can see that alert shows 3. So we have 3 items in this array, and position, like the second item is Michael, and it should be displayed in the element with ID array under arrays data, and it's here, Michael.
All right.
Okay.
And the last one is objects. It's actually, it's the same as with array, just for example, here's my object, me, full name, address, and gender. And the same, we just need to use JSON signify and JSON parse. And in order to access some properties of that array, we need to indicate this, I don't know, key, right? Am I correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the key.
Yeah. Okay, and here it is.
Awesome.
That's all for my topic.
Very cool. Thank you.
Once I understand my error, I will let you know through Slack, okay?
Sounds good.
Maybe it will
Appreciate
be
it.
interesting for you too.
Good job.
Always happens. JavaScript is so fidgety, I feel.
It is. Oh my gosh.
But
I was going through mine and
Okay.
didn't realize I had it was just, nothing would work because I had a comma and that was misplaced.
oh, did ya? Yeah. That's always fun.
Oh yeah.
Well, do you want to go next, Hiram?
Yeah. Let me see.
All right.
Just a moment, I will stop share.
Let's see. All right. All right. So I think it's pretty similar from last time's lesson. I couldn't find anything else I could do, but so we know that JSON is JavaScript object notation. It's what you may call a lightweight version of a data interchange format. And not only is it much easier for people to read and write, it's also easier for the machines to parse and generate.
Okay.
And I like that it's completely language independent text format, but its conventions are very familiar to the C family developers. When it comes to JSON parse, this method parses strings and turns those strings into text, into Java object. Sorry. So it parses something that was received as JSON. Now it's Java string for JSON stringify. This method changes the objects into text, into strings. This creates the JSON string out of an object or an array. Let's see. Get out of here. So this is my site.
All right.
So as you can see here, I have two examples. This one's stringify. It includes. Here, let me grab my. So here, this right here, you can see it here. It has it listed out. The name, Hiram. City, Santan Valley. State, Arizona. So it includes the values and the, oh gosh, I'm sorry. What do you call the
key?
The keys. That's
Key.
right. So
Key value pair.
Yeah, it completely stringifies everything in between those two brackets and stuff.
So it just places it inside of one line? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Stringify?
Yeah, it creates that one line right there. Has all the information.
So what's the purpose of stringifying?
I guess it's to, how do you say, how do you say? I'm sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, you're fine.
Let's see. So this just makes it easier for us to write the code. How do you say? I'm trying to.
So I can answer
It
that.
replaces.
Oh, go ahead.
That'd be great.
What's that?
Oh, that would be great.
Okay. So when we have an object, it's in JavaScript notation. When we do a stringify, it changes it into JSON, which is JavaScript object notation. So that means that it turns it basically into a string. So instead of an actual object, it's something that you could output onto the screen just as a string type variable. There is a little bit of a difference in stringify. So look at his example 1 up here. You'll notice that this is an object here. We have name colon Hiram in single quotes. When we do stringify, name actually has double quotes around it, then it has a colon, and then we have double quotes around Hiram, and that's in JSON form. That's really the only difference.
Okay, so it's taking that object and then it parses it or stringifies it into JSON notation?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is the JSON notation right here. So
After stringify.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, now, where is that? Now, in this other example, parse takes those takes the stringified and changes it back into an object. Let's see. So like right here, let's string. Here's the string. And so I guess what I could have done was just use the same thing instead of keeping it separate. I could have. But yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to confuse you anymore. But so yeah, so it takes the object and it takes a string, and I guess you say objectifies it, makes it an object for I guess the user or for the machine to attain that information. Am I saying that right? I think so.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So it's the same thing, and like on the second example, I have that same thing on example 2. I have the Let's Movies. This changed into a string. It's right here. And then the other one, I have it called out an email right here. You could change this right here. You could change it to say name, and it'll show Walter. And then, or you could change that to say contact, and then when you change this to contact, this will come out with this number right here. But it's only going to come up with the values. It's not going to show any of the keys or anything like that. So
when you do a JSON.parse, it's only parsing the values of the key value pair?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
like in that the 4P in object, and you output the object brackets P, it's up above just a little bit more.
Oh, right. Where would we put it?
Just up a little bit. One more line.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Yeah. So when that P, that object brackets P,
Mm-hmm.
when it's outputting the inner HTML, it's only getting the value of the key value pair, not the key and the value.
Exactly.
Okay. And so what if I wanted to get the key? I mean, I don't know why I'd want that, but what would I do to get the key?
to do to get the key? Let's see. Then you would. Let me see. I don't think you would need to.
There actually is a way to do that.
Oh, is there?
Maybe
Yeah,
I'm asking something a little too complex.
Too complex for me.
I have it in some of the documentation that I put out previously, but there is a way
Okay.
in JavaScript. There's a function to get the key if you need it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I need it, but
It'd be kind of nice to cool to know.
well, I guess if it was like a form or something like that, or like you want to display like name, city, state, language, job, school, and then the values of that, then I could see that being useful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. So yeah, I guess this is just like a database, just a low grade database where you can, acquire the information from a web server and all that information. So, but yeah, this one was I liked learning this. This was pretty neat.
Yeah.
This is a lot of information. I guess there's not that much information on JSON. It's kind of just, I guess, what low grade kind of data retrieving language.
Pretty much, yeah. It's just a way of transferring data. So that's all JSON is. And objects are really nice because you can send multiple values in a function call with one variable, which makes it super easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
so if I wanted to get, I'm trying to think of it, but getting information out of a text file, would the text have to be within an object format before it can parse it?
Let me see. I wonder if. Let me see. I guess it's pretty similar to. Let me see. To this thing. This, or was this the one that no, this one's one of you guys talking about. And this one I created. Where is it? I guess it's in here. Script JSON. Yeah, I created within my repository this Disney's destination text file. So,
Okay.
So when I created that, it's linked up to the JavaScript, and then I guess someone could probably say much better. I'm not very good at explaining, but yeah, you can see here that all these sites are coming from that text file.
Oh, okay.
So it's information from that text file. I guess that's also just mostly links also, but someone probably has a better explanation than me. I'm trying to.
You're good. So, do you want me to answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay, so the answer to that question is you will get a response back in JSON. So like he was showing you the AJAX request stuff, it'll come back in text form. That's that JSON stuff. And if you want to output the entire string to the screen, you can do that, but you can't access individual parts until you parse it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're all learning here, so it's interesting. When I first learned about it, it was really confusing to me. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was. When I did it myself this time, I understood a little bit more than what I did before. I didn't realize that one was just to convert a string object into a string, and the other one's to retrieve back as an object.
mm-hmm.
And I didn't really understand that it was another kind of a data, you know, another way to retrieve data from the web server. So this was pretty neat. I liked it.
That's really cool.
So, but yeah, that's my presentation there.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Hiram.
Thanks for you guys' help.
Oh, no problem. That's why we're here. We're all learning together. So I always learn something new every time we do these. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks. They all stop sharing.
Okay. And let me see here. How do I share my screen again?
It should be at the bottom. There's a screen share. I don't know.
Oh, there it is. Okay, share screen. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I didn't have much time to work on this, so it's very basic. But what I wanted to cover is to expand on what Hiram did last week. He gave a great presentation about all the different kinds of selectors that you can use. So this week, I kind of wanted to take it in a different direction and talk about 3 different ways that we can actually do event listeners with JavaScript. So this is, I commented this code, so I'll put this out later in case you guys want to go and look at it. But we have a function that can be called by an event listener embedded into the HTML. So if we come in here, you can see we have this onClick attribute, and it references the do something function. So when that button's clicked, it'll come in and execute this function here. So that's the basic foundation where these started. Nowadays, it's kind of considered bad practice to do that because we want to keep our HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in separate files. So this would be something that's good for when you're debugging your code. So keep that in mind. The issue with doing it this way is if you have multiple buttons or classes in different pages, in order to keep that site up, you'd have to go into every page and change each of those event listeners. Whereas in your JavaScript, you can have one block of code and you'll only have to change that one block of code. So that's really where that kind of comes in. And then we have a newer version where we have our onClick method. And this is, you can do this with any type of event. You can do onClick, on mouse over, on key up, on hover, whatever event listeners there are, you can set it up this way. Now the way that I set this one up, I used an anonymous function, and so this variable basically that I created and expanded with the onClick event listener, the function is associated with it right there. So I create a string, and then I input the string into the HTML. There is another way to do this. And instead of having an anonymous function, can you guys hear me okay? I just had a pop-up that said the internet connection isn't very good right now.
I still hear you, but sometimes you cut a little bit in and out.
Okay, let me know if you miss anything.
All right.
But the way that we can also do this is by doing the add event or do the onClick, and then we have a reference to a function that we can find down here. So you can keep them together or you can split them up. The advantage of having a reference is that you can change what function that is later on.
Okay.
And the third way, and this is actually the most robust way that JavaScript does event listeners, is by using the add event listener method. So this one is similar to the one above. You can add the event, and you don't need to put on in front of these. You just put click, mouse over, whatever event listener you want to use. And just like above, we can use an anonymous function to do this as well. And the function is actually passed to this function here as a parameter. So that's why we have this really weird syntax here. But you can come down, this is the same thing, except instead of doing the anonymous function, we have a reference to an actual function that we have down here. But for the main purpose here, I have it set up so that we're using our anonymous functions for both of these. With the add event listener method, there's also a remove event listener method. So we can actually change what these things do, and we can change the event or the way that they do it. And I'll show you guys how that works here in just a second. But if I come here, can you guys all see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is the HTML onClick method. So you can see it works. You're using the HTML inline event listener. And if we click here on the second one, we use the onClick method. And you can see here you're using the JS onClick method with a reference function. And actually, give me 1 second. That's doing the wrong thing. 1 second.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay. I forgot to save it, so I was actually doing the bottom half. So I apologize. Okay.
No problem.
So now we're doing the HTML inline event listener here. And then we have our JS onClick method with an anonymous function. So that works just fine. And then our add event listener works just fine this way too, using the anonymous function. Okay. So the second half is going to show you the other functionality. And actually, I don't want that one commented out. Okay. So comment out this code here. And I'll uncomment these. Actually. Okay, so you'll notice here for my second button, I'm making some changes to button 3. So I'm saying remove the event listener, click something 3, and instead I want button 3 to do a mouse over event and execute the something 4 function. Button 3, I also want to add another event listener to it. So with the add event listener, you can add more than one event listener to an element in your HTML. And I say, if we click on it, we're going to execute the function something 5. So if I save this, and I come back here, you'll notice if I click button 3, the mouse over event isn't executing just yet because we haven't executed the second function. So it says here you are using the JS add event listener method with a reference function. So that one's executing just normal. The HTML onClick works just as it would before. But if I click on the second one works just as we thought, except it's using a reference to a function. But now watch as I hover over JS add event listener button. Says a mouse over event was detected. And then if I click on that, it says new click event detected. So it makes it kind of nice because you can add and remove events from specific HTML elements to get them to do different things.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
But anyway, that was my presentation. Do you guys have any questions?
So these are the events that are like let's see, button 3, remove listener 3, and then the click in there. That's the events, right?
Yes, those were the 2 new events that I added.
So were the ones that I were doing, were those are these the ones that are gonna replace those ones that I've been doing? Like, or is it just for different ways to use it, or well, I guess what I'm saying are my ways that I did becoming obsolete.
Did you use the inline HTML event listeners?
I don't think I did, no.
Okay, so the ones that they recommend us to use now is the onClick, events where you do the dot onClick, dot on mouse over. We do it this way or we do it this way. This is the best practice right now. The only issue with the onClick, on mouse over, whatever, is that you can't remove those listeners from those items.
Gotcha. So if you remove those listeners, then those won't work anymore, right?
Yes. So these ones, I don't think you can actually remove them at all. You can probably make them do something different, I'd imagine. But if you really want things to be robust, or if you have 2 functions that you want to run at the same time, or if you want it to do a slightly different thing in a different page, the add event listener and remove event listener is what you really want to do. So it just depends on what you're doing.
Okay. All right. And you said when you were showing the example, that mouse over one, you had what did you do? You had to remove, let's see, you had to click on that JS onClick in order for that mouse over to work on the JS add event listener. Was that what it was?
Exactly, because when that's my button 2. So when I do button 2.onClick, it references the something to function, which is this function here. So it creates a string in the output, and then it makes some changes for button 3.
Okay, that was pretty neat. Okay, that was cool.
So
awesome, thanks.
Yeah, so there's that. You click, mouse over event detected, new click detected, and then it'll do that every time. But,
oh, nice.
Any other questions? Okay.
I think that's it for me.
Sounds good. Well, is there anything else that we need to discuss? Are we still good with our lessons for the next couple of weeks?
I think so. Let's see what we got coming up. So I got, so I'm also doing the local storage and API story. So
Okay.
finding some information on that, and then Irina's got 2 of them next week, I guess.
And would you guys mind putting your links to your examples within that spreadsheet?
Yeah,
The repository links and topics spreadsheet?
yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll try to do that. Can you resend the link to that? I think you sent it last week, right?
Yeah, it should be in there somewhere. I think it's within the pinned items too, if you click that icon in Slack. If it's not, I can send a link again.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway.
All right, thanks for meeting, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. And thanks for your help.
For the examples.
Of course.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, you guys, we'll see you next Thursday.
All right.
Okay.